You all can do whatever the message is within you. The message I had today was first redeem the time because the days are evil. It's time to take a step forward into your future, into what God's called you to do. How do you know that you can think an idea to death?
Right.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You can talk it to death.
Yeah.
So the Lord, when I found out last night I was going to share, the Lord spoke to me about communication. So I'd just like to share maybe, how much time have I? So that's one of the things the Lord spoke to us when we started the fellowship about, just as much as we are conservative with our resources, our time, energy, money, all those things, how do you budget your money? How do you budget your time? How do you plan your time, plan your days? I just want to say this, that, you know, like somebody said, I'll miss my kids. Yeah, you know what, I miss those times, but I just know that the season that I'm in now, it's time to do some other things.
That's right.
And so it's important to make the most out of each minute as you're there. Live in the moment. As much as you plan for the future, live in the moment.
Yeah.
It's important to live in the moment. When you have conversations, I don't take for granted when great people of God stand before us. I don't take for granted when great people have great words from God. Because I've learned to live in the moment. I had cancer in 2006. And God healed me from that. I had surgery. They removed a 5-inch malignancy. It was isolated in one area. I didn't even know I had it. And I, just had a few things. But I learned through that process that God said, live in the moment, plan for the future, but live in the moment.
Yeah.
It's so important to move ahead. Now in communication, I just want to share, communication is an idea, thought, or message that is conveyed by writing, speaking, or gestures. Most of communication is nonverbal. So very little of communication is actually the words that we speak. But how many of you know that life and death are in the power of the tongue?
That's right. That's right.
Hello?
Yeah.
Life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Yeah. That's right.
In the beginning, God created. I can just picture him sitting back in the chair. And he said, you know what? It's time to create. And he said, let there be. Wasn't real stressful for him. And you know what? Jesus came and he said, because the apostles and I have laid the foundation, greater things shall you go and do. You know, so many times we spend our time looking up at Jesus and the apostles, when actually, of course, Jesus is Lord. I don't say this disrespectfully, but they were the foundation so we could stand on it and build.
Amen.
You know, when the Apostle Paul said, I run my race, I finished the course. Well, if you go back in the Old Testament, courses were the priests in the temple. Each course, God laid the temple out in courses, just like a row of bricks, a course of bricks. And he laid it out so that you had the singers, you had the people that cleaned up, you had the people that brought the animals in for sacrifice, you had all these things. So what Paul said, I've completed my course, my row, so now the next generation can come and build on top of what I've built.
Amen.
I've completed what God's called me to do.
Yeah.
And the only way that we can complete is to start. I just want to encourage you. You are looking at such a simple guy here. Honestly. I'm just a simple guy, but I have great expectations of what God's doing.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Yes,
And
brother.
He wants the same for all of us.
Yes,
Amen.
brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Your words can create environments. Honestly, out of everything, we feed the hungry. Thomas, we partner with Tom and Teresa. We feed the hungry. It's just weird stuff's happening with me too, Teresa. I was going to talk to Tom. Hopefully I get a chance. on Facebook. I've been using that kind of to build a platform for my website. And I friended a couple of friends, one friend who's a nurse in Haiti. And the church she works at there, the guy looks like he's a native, but he and his wife have started an orphanage. And we started communicating this week on Facebook, and he wants help. I don't know anything about that, but you guys do. And I need advice and counsel if he needs. So I just kind of see how God is worldwide. And while I'm on this point, I want to share this with you too. I do have an outline. I can't follow an outline. I can't stay on time. I have 1,000 things I want to share with you. That the internet does not belong to the world. So many times we posture ourselves as Christians as, oh, it's got this on it, or it's got porn on it, or it's got all these negative. Oh, we can't go there because of this, and so we kind of justify not doing anything.
That's right.
But back when we started the fellowship again, the Lord said, "What's happening in the end times?" He just gave me this visual. I don't know if it was a vision or what you call it, but it is arm outstretched. And last day's revival may not be where thousands and thousands of people get under one tent. I honestly believe the end time revival is going to start, if not be fully completed, one soul at a time. And his arm is the last sweep. There will be a time when time won't repeat itself anymore. Right. You always say history will repeat itself. Well, there is going to come a time when, bam, there's not going to be enough time for time to repeat itself. Amen. That'll be the end of time. And so the arm of God is reaching across the whole entire world, and he's speaking to each of us individually. And all over the world, he's speaking to souls and to people. Because he's gracious, and he's merciful, and he's just. And he's pulling every soul in.
Yeah.
Because his desire is not that any should perish.
That's right.
And that's really out of all this whole thing. More than anything, we're reclaiming souls from the kingdom of darkness.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And one of the most effective tools that you have as a believer is your communication. Proverbs says that he that wins souls is wise. I want to share this with you. If you want to be a good soul winner, you have to stop isolating yourself and not be afraid. Because as a Christian, you don't have anything to fear or be intimidated by. And we can isolate ourselves by the things we say. I mean, I'm just going to be real frank and honest with you. It just really burns me when people say, "I can't stand cussing. I can't stand drinking." Well, I don't care for it particularly, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone, but I just want to say this: you're not going to win the lost in church.
That's right.
Go check the door. There's nobody banging on the door to get in this retreat.
Right.
And they're not going to be at your church Sunday morning, probably, beating the doors down. Because lost people are lost.
Right. Yeah. Go get them.
And so with our communication, with our communication, we can isolate ourselves. Because if you're around somebody and say, "Well, I can't stand drinking," recognize, I can't stand drinking. Which, it's destructive, it's harmful, we all know that. But if you isolate to a person that drinks and is bound by alcohol, you know what they hear? They hear judgment. They hear, so you think you're a judgmental person?
You don't love me.
You don't love me. You don't even know me.
Yeah.
You judge me. So the things that we say can help or distract from winning souls. How do you know that health? I'm sorry. 2 minutes? Okay. I'll finish with this. Creative communication is an accident. What you focus on creates what you think on. And what you think on will create your habits. How many would like to know your future? How many would like to know your future? Look at your daily routine. What you're doing every day determines your future. unless you decide to change. The first step to change is realizing that you need to change. And then when you realize that you need to change, you define what needs to change. How do you know that you can't beat an enemy that you can't define?
Right. Yeah.
You have to define what needs to change. And then you have to create a plan with God's help with the Word to change.
Amen.
And then what you do, you plan the work, and then you work the plan. And I know that when we have this conference next year, there are going to be a lot of millionaires sitting here in Jesus' name.
Hallelujah.